I wasn't exactly invited. That's the part I keep coming back to, even now. I told myself I didn't need an invitation, that a father showing up to his son's 4th of July didn't require a formal summons. I believed that when I pulled onto Carter's street. I believed it when I saw the cars lined up along the curb and heard the music coming from the backyard. I believed it right up until I saw Carter walking toward the gate instead of waiting at the door. That detail. I should have read it. He didn't look angry. That surprised me. He looked almost apologetic, which somehow made it worse, because apologetic meant he'd thought about it beforehand. He'd rehearsed the walk to the gate, he knew I was coming, and he came out to meet me before I could come in. "Dad," he said, and then, "We don't really want you here tonight." Someone behind him was opening a beer. I heard the crack and hiss of it. The yard was strung with lights, the warm Edison bulb kind Sienna likes, and somebody was laughing at something. And Carter was standing at his own gate, telling me I wasn't welcome, while the world behind him continued being festive without interruption. Sienna stood a few feet back. She didn't look at me directly. I noticed that. I don't remember what I said. Something brief. Was. Something that didn't embarrass either of us, I think. I turned around and walked back to my car, and I drove 3 blocks to the parking lot of a hardware store that was closed for the holiday, and I sat there with the engine off. I didn't cry right away. I'm not sure what I did, exactly. I looked at the steering wheel for a while. I listened to the neighborhood sounds. Distant music, a dog. The first early fireworks someone was setting off illegally in a cul-de-sac somewhere nearby. I thought about Carter at 7 years old, at a fireworks show in the park near our old house. He'd held my hand the entire time because the noise frightened him, even though he was trying hard to pretend it didn't. Every time a big one went off, he'd squeeze tighter and then look up to check if I'd noticed him being afraid. I always pretended I hadn't. That was 31 years ago. He is 38 now, and he had rehearsed the walk to his gate. There is something Carter had not thought about, or had thought about and decided didn't apply, the way people do when they believe family arrangements are permanently informal. I am a real estate attorney. I have been one for 31 years, longer than Carter has been an adult. When he and Sienna bought the house 14 months ago, they were short. Not devastatingly short, but enough that the conventional loan structure didn't work cleanly. Carter called me. I helped him. I structured a private loan, real documents, real terms, real signatures, because that is what I know how to do, and because I loved my son, and I wanted him to have the house. He had waved at the paperwork the way people wave at terms and conditions, a formality between family, a thing you sign so the attorney father feels comfortable. It was not a formality. My paralegal had emailed me earlier that week. A restructuring notice, something I had drafted quietly over the previous month, after a series of moments smaller than the gate, but accumulating in the same direction. A missed birthday, a Thanksgiving that was suddenly just us this year. A phone call I learned about secondhand, where Carter had described me to someone as difficult. I had prepared the document. I had not yet signed it. In that parking lot, while the illegal fireworks cracked and scattered above the tree line, I opened my email. I read the document once. It didn't demand repayment. It didn't punish anyone. It simply removed the informal understanding and replaced it with formal documented loan terms, the kind that exist on paper in a way that cannot be waved at. I signed it with my thumb, sent it back to my paralegal. Then I sat there a while longer, watching the sky do what it does every 4th of July, and I drove home. Carter called 4 days later. His voice was different, not broken. Carter is too composed for that, but careful in a way it hadn't been at the gate. Measured. I recognized it as the voice of someone who had recently read something twice. I answered on the second ring. I let him ask his question. Then I said, "The loan was always a legal instrument, Carter. I decided it was time both of us treated it that way." He was quiet for a moment. "Is this because of the 4th?" he said. "It's because of a lot of things," I said. "I hope you and Sienna are well." I mean that. I did mean it. That's the part that's hard to explain to people. I wasn't calling the loan restructuring revenge. I was calling it honesty. I was finally being as formal with him as he had been with me at that gate. I called my daughter Claire that evening. She lives in Portland and has always been easier. Not better, just easier, which is its own kind of gift. We talked for 40 minutes about her garden and a book she was reading and a dog she was thinking about adopting. She didn't ask about Carter. I didn't bring him up. When we hung up, I made dinner and ate it at the table and watched the window go from light to dark. I don't know what Carter and I will become from here. I think it will take longer than either of us wants, and I think there are things he'll need to understand about what it felt like to be met at the gate that I'm not sure he's ready to understand yet. But I stopped pretending the gate didn't happen. That's not victory. It's just the first honest thing I'd done in longer than I'd like to admit. The window was fully dark by then. I left the dish in the sink and went to bed, and outside somewhere, Someone was still setting off fireworks, late and unhurried, like they had all the time in the world.